I opened a pet shop in a horror game, but a group of players insisted on breaking in, trying to kill me and my animals for points. Little did they know, I've set a barrier. Once they leave the shop, my animals reveal their true forms. That skinny tabby cat is actually a Siberian tiger, and the golden retriever puppy sleeping soundly is a three-headed hellhound. The small snake curled up in the corner is a mutated giant python, and it's been starving for a long time. After dying from overwork as a vet, I became an NPC in this horror game. My dedication earned me a promotion to a mini-boss with my own dungeon. I named it Pet Paradise. I'm not into violence, so the difficulty is low. Players just need to rescue animals to clear it, which makes it a fan favorite. Bored, I opened a pet shop in the dungeon, returning to my roots as a veterinarian. To promote the shop, I handed out flyers across other dungeons and became well acquainted with the ghosts there. My first customer was Grandma Q from the neighboring Happy Neighborhood dungeon. She walked in with her cane, and I stood up immediately to give her a warm welcome. Welcome. Are you here to buy something or for a checkup? Grandma Q stepped forward. Boss, my Mimi hasn't been herself lately. She's eating less and seems lethargic. I think she's sick. But I'm a ghost, so I can't take her to a real-world vet. She sounded so guilty, so I comforted her. Don't worry, Grandma. I was a vet when I was alive. Let's bring Mimi in for an exam. Grandma Q didn't move. She looked around the shop, shook her head, and said, I think you should come outside and see for yourself. Confused, I followed her out of the shop. The moment I stepped out, a creature licked my face, covering me in slobber that felt strangely tingly. I wiped my face and opened my eyes to see a massive Siberian tiger standing there, chubby and wide-eyed. I was stunned. I pointed at the tiger in disbelief. Grandma, you call this Mimi? But my shock quickly turned to excitement. In all my years as a vet, I'd never treated a Siberian tiger. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Soon, a problem arose. Mimi was too big. She filled the entire shop, making it impossible to use my equipment. My x-ray machine could barely scan one of her paws. I scratched my head, feeling awkward. Grandma, is there any way to make Mimi smaller? She's just too huge. Grandma Q nodded and used some kind of skill. The tiger began to shrink until she was just a regular tabby cat. That made the exam much easier. Mimi was very well behaved, lying on the x-ray table with her paws in the air. Once the results were in, I explained why Mimi had been so lethargic. Grandma, Mimi has indigestion. Her stomach is full of undigested food and she's constipated. She's backed up. Grandma, have you been feeding her a bit too much? Grandma stroked the tabby cat's head and said, I only fed it 20 pounds of meat. Mimi is so polite, it always finishes every bite. I was stunned. 20 pounds of meat? It seems there's a kind of hunger called, Grandma thinks you're hungry. I told Grandma Q to feed it only about 10 pounds from now on, and gave Mimi some digestive medicine. After the checkup, Mimi suddenly jumped into my arms, whispered in my ear, and asked for a favor. Before I could ask more, Grandma Q unwrapped layers of plastic bags to give me money, but I refused. The supernatural world is different from reality. Who knows what kind of trouble other pets might be. So I asked Grandma Q to help me set a barrier for the shop, so every animal shrinks upon entering, making future treatments much easier. That night, I was woken up by urgent knocking at the door. Dr. Fang, please save my puppy, the girl cried out in desperation. Driven by professional duty, I scrambled out of bed, threw on some clothes, and opened the door. As I opened the door, I saw the girl covered in blood, but she ignored her own wounds and gripped my hand tightly. Grandma Q told me you treat animals. Please save my puppy. It's badly hurt. She started to kneel down. I looked behind her at a three-headed monster, at least 3 meters long, looking quite like a Cerberus. It had several bloody holes in its body and a long, deep gash across its head. Without wasting time, I told the girl to bring it into the shop immediately. The Cerberus shrank instantly to the size of a puppy, though it still kept its 3 heads. Seeing the Cerberus like this, the girl burst into tears and rushed it into the operating room. I began cleaning the wounds, preparing to stop the bleeding and stitch them up. The Cerberus was severely injured. Every wound was meant to be fatal. It took 2 full hours of stitching to close all the wounds. When I walked out of the operating room, the girl anxiously asked about its condition. Don't worry, the surgery was a success. It just fainted from blood loss. If it makes it through the night, it will be fine. The girl sighed with relief and kept thanking me while holding my hand. Seeing the girl's own wounds still bleeding, I spoke up. You don't look like you can hold on much longer. If you trust me, I can treat your wounds too. The girl wasn't old, looking only about 17 or 18. I wondered how she, being a supernatural entity, ended up so badly hurt. After dressing her wounds, I finally asked her about it. The girl replied, I'm an NPC in the Hell Dungeon, you can just call me Sixi. Tonight, a group of players broke into Hell and started attacking all the NPCs without saying a word. Every time they killed an NPC, they cheered, shouting that they'd earned another 100 points. I'm just an ordinary NPC and they ganged up on me. I stood no chance. At the last second, Xiaoji rushed in and took the fatal blow for me. He held me in his mouth, shielding me from the gunfire with his own body, until Dabao finally arrived. As she spoke, the girl burst into tears again. So that's what happened. It seems some players are truly heartless. If people like that showed up in my dungeon, I'd just finish them off. Seeing how close Shixi and Xiaoji were, I asked how they met to take her mind off things. Mentioning their first meeting, her eyes filled with tenderness. I raised Xiaoji since he was little. We ended up in this horror game together after a car accident. I'm too weak and always get bullied by players, so Xiaoji has suffered a lot because of me. One day, he nearly died protecting me, and I still get terrified thinking about it. I decided to give Xiaoji to the big boss, thinking he'd at least be safe under the boss's protection. But I never expected him to disappear, only to return like this, all for my sake. He went to the mad scientist to modify his body, turning himself into this monster. Just then, Xiaoji opened his eyes on the hospital bed and spoke. Xixi, I don't mind becoming a monster to protect you. I'll become the strongest one so no player will ever dare to bully you again. Hearing that, I felt like crying, so I grabbed a tissue to blow my nose. Don't worry, I'll make sure Xiaoji recovers. He'll have to stay at the pet shop for now, but you can visit him every day after work. After the attack on Xixi and Xiaoji, I've been feeling uneasy. I have a feeling those players will be back. So, while handing out flyers, I warned the NPCs in every dungeon to run for their lives if anything seemed wrong. Thanks to my warning, many NPCs managed to avoid being harmed by players. To show their gratitude, they all started supporting my business. I understand those with pets buying things from my shop. But why are those without pets buying cat and dog food? They just grinned and said, I'm feeding the strays. I'm feeding the strays too. I've had this habit since I was a kid. I actually like the taste of pet food. They made excuses while stuffing their arms with supplies, refusing to stop until they couldn't carry anymore. The horror game returned to its usual calm, and my pet shop business was booming. One day while I was stocking the shelves, I suddenly heard a hissing sound, and the whole sky went dark. Is it going to rain? I stepped out of the shop to check, but the door wouldn't budge. Suddenly a massive snake head appeared at the window, its golden slit pupil staring at me with a chilling gaze. I nearly fainted. Whose pet is this? It could have at least given me a heads up. The giant python coiled around my shop. I felt like one squeeze would turn my place into rubble. My heart was pounding, but I kept a straight face. Are you here to shop or for a checkup? Hiss. The python spoke. Can you treat illnesses? I nodded eagerly. Yes. If you need a checkup, please use the front door. The python uncoiled and reluctantly slid off the roof. As it crawled inside, it shrank down until it became a beautiful rat snake. But why is this rat snake as round as a barrel? Its scales are even bulging out. Once inside, the snake looked around curiously and even slithered over to watch Xiaoji in his bed for a while. Xiaoji was asleep, but for some reason, I felt like he was faking it and he seemed to be trembling. He seemed terrified of this chubby snake. I looked toward the door and the snake asked me, "What are you waiting for?" "I'm waiting for your owner. Why haven't they arrived yet?" "Owner? The king of snakes needs no such thing." I was stunned. Note, this line has been merged into 103. Xiaoji whispered, "Dr. Fang, he's the Snake King from the Snake Island Horror Dungeon. I heard they're vicious, please don't upset him." The snake shot a glare at him, and Xiaoji quickly shut his eyes. So, it's a wild one. "What's wrong? Where does it hurt?" The snake circled me a few times before speaking. "My mouth hurts, and I'm always dizzy. Especially when I stand up quickly, everything goes black. I heard you can cure anything, so check me out." Wow, the king of snakes is actually a Chunabu. I played along. "No problem, your majesty. Let's start with an exam. Open wide, let me check for any foreign objects."